What's up, guys? HockeyTikTockey is back with an all-new video. Today, we're doing part 2 of the series that I thought of called What's the Best Name in Hockey? So, the way that this works, it's basically like a thought experiment. Like, what if there was an NHL hockey team where all the players had the same name? So, yesterday I did Team Connor. That would be like if every guy on the team, his name was Connor or last name was Connor or had some sort of Connor in his name. And today we're going to be doing Team John. So the rules are simple. This team, this roster has to have the name John in their name in order to qualify to be part of this team. Now, I wrote this roster. I made this thing up like about a year or two ago when I had the idea for it. I just never presented it for some reason. I just have been waiting for a time to do it. So I might have to make some revisions on my team. So that's what I'm going to do today. And we're going to go through it. So first of all, on the first line, the top line, I had 3 players. John Tavares is going to be centering line 1. John Marchessault on the right wing. And then I had on left wing the late, great Johnny Gaudreau. So unfortunately, due to his passing, I'm going to have to remove John Gaudreau from the team. And I'm going to have to bump up a left wing to play in his spot. So I did have Jonathan Huberdeau playing left wing at that time on the second line when I wrote this about a year or two ago. So I'm going to bump John Huberdeau up to the first line to play with Tavares and Marchessault, and that's my line 1. So on this team we have Jonathan Huberdeau, Jonathan Tavares, and Jonathan Marchessault all playing on line 1. But I might even switch the center. I feel like John Tavares is no longer considered like a top line center. Like he's kind of dropped to like being a second or a third line center in the league now at this point in his career. So you know what? I think I'm also gonna do a little switch up, and I'm gonna put John Tavares on the second line, and I'm gonna put my second line center. Second line center I had was a guy named Jonathan Tanner Miller. So most people know him as JT Miller. He plays for Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to put JT Miller as Jonathan Tanner Miller on line 1 center. So on Team John, we have Huberdeau centered by JT Miller and John Marchessault on the right wing on that line. So that would be line 1. I just want to check one thing real quick while I'm on here. Marchessault, he is listed as a center as well, but he plays on the wing sometimes, I believe, and he shoots right. So that's why I put him on the top line to really kind of make that top line super strong. And right now he's on a new team playing for Nashville. He used to play for Vegas. He was part of their Stanley Cup run. And great top line player, along with resurging Huberdeau and JT Miller. I feel like that would be a really strong first line for Team John. So now for line 2, I have John Tavares as the center. I have Kent Johnson on his right wing. So here's a little sort of trick when it comes to making these secret rosters, or these I shouldn't say secret, these sort of fantasy rosters, I should say. We can play around with the names a little bit, and instead of having their first name, it doesn't necessarily have to be their first name as the John, like it doesn't have to be John in the first name. We can make it the second name or something like that. So I have Kent Johnson playing on that line on wing. I just looked him up too, and he's normally playing center as well for Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know too much about this particular player. All I can remember is I saw a highlight reel of Kent Johnson one time. He did the Michigan goal from, like circling the puck around the net, like, and so like, I don't know if he's the best fit for this line, but that's what I had written down a couple of years ago when I first made that, when I first made up this roster. And then I don't really have a second line left wing yet for that line because, like I said, the unfortunate passing of Johnny Gaudreau. So I'm going to leave that line for now. I'll think of another guy to throw up on that line later. Line 3 right now, I have a young guy from Dallas, Wyatt Johnson, starting as the center on this line. And at the time, he was a younger player when I first made up this roster as well. Hadn't really made a huge impact in the NHL yet, but I think at this point he might even be more valuable as a second line center because of how he performed in the playoffs the year for Dallas when they went all the way to the Western Conference Finals. And I'm just checking out his stats now. He was a 30 goal scorer in his second year playing for Dallas as well. So I think we might even be able to bump Wyatt Johnson up the lineup to play on. Maybe we'll how about for now, I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna put Wyatt Johnson on the second line as a right wing or a left wing. So I'm gonna switch him up the lineup and have line 2 now being Wyatt Johnson of the Dallas Stars, John Tavares, and Kent Johnson. So it's Tavares, as sort of an older, veteran player with a huge amount of leadership, a huge amount of experience, and he's flanked by 2 young guys only in their 3rd or 4th season, Wyatt Johnston and Kent Johnson. So we got Johnston, John Tavares, and Johnson on line 2. Line 3, we now need a center. I'll tell you guys the wingers that I have right now. I have right now Jonathan Drouin, who has kind of been an up and down player his whole career. Currently playing for Colorado. I think he might be injured at the moment, but I'm not 100% sure. I know he's dealt with a lot of injury troubles over the last little bit here, but he had a resurging year last year in Colorado, almost scored 20. So I'm having him on the left wing on that 3rd line right now, Jonathan Drouin. And then on the right wing, I have a guy from Buffalo. Most people call him JJ, but his true real name is John Jason Peterka. But he goes by JJ a lot of the time. So John Jason Peterka is going to be playing right wing on the 3rd line. And he was sort of having a breakout season last year. He hit 28 goals according to the stat sheet here. So John Jason Peterka shoots left, plays right wing, but will be on this 3rd line. John Jason Peterka. And then we still need a center for that line. I have a guy listed here already named Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson is going to be switching up to center the 3rd line. So he right now is playing for Chicago. I don't know if he's still playing, actually. I'd have to look into that. So I looked it up, and turns out Tyler Johnson, he last was playing for Chicago, but he was not signed coming into this season. He was on a professional tryout with Boston to begin the preseason, and he didn't end up getting a contract. So currently, Tyler Johnson is not in the NHL. However, just to fill out my fantasy John roster, I'm going to put Tyler Johnson as the line 3 center. Or potentially, actually, you know what I think I might do here? I'm going to bump him down to line 4 center, and I'm going to bring in another Boston center named John Beecher to play on the line with JJ Peterka and Jonathan Drouin. So now we have line 3 as a 3-man unit, including Jonathan Drouin, John Beecher, and Jason Peterka. That's my line 3 unit right now. And then, as I mentioned, I'm bumping Tyler Johnson, currently NHL veteran without a contract, but potentially could be signed by any team at any time after his PTO. Tyler Johnson and his line mates are going to be a guy named Johnny Brodinski. So let's look this guy up, because I actually don't know too much about old Johnny Brodinski. Brodinski. Let's see what he's up to here. So Brodinski is currently a New York Ranger. He's listed as a center as well. He's played quite a few games, but not that much stats, not many goals or assists, kind of just a grinder type player, I guess, and we're a replacement sort of player. But I have him, Johnny Brodzinski, playing line 4, along with Jonathan Bergen. So let's see, Bergen. I don't know much about this guy either. Jonathan Bergen is playing for Detroit right now. Looking at his stats, I got him as a Detroit Red Wing, played in 2023. He had actually a decent season, 15 goals, 13 assists for 28 points in his rookie year. Dropped down to just 2 goals in his second season, only played 12 games apparently with Detroit, and now is back on the team again for his third season. So we got Jonathan Bergen on line 4 with Johnny Brodzinski, and Tyler Johnson as their center. So we have Tyler Johnson, Johnny Brodzinski, and Jonathan Bergen as my line 4. Now, that's the forwards, the forward lineup. Huberdeau, JT Miller, Jonathan Marchessault is line 1. Johnston, John Tavares, and Johnson is line 2. Jonathan Drouin, John Beecher, Jason Peterka, line 3. Johnny Brodzinski, Tyler Johnson, Jonathan Bergen as line 4. And then finally, on defense, we have 3 pairings. So the first pairing I have as a pretty strong, formidable bunch of defensemen here. I took a little bit of liberty with the first guy because technically his name is not John, it's Jonas, Jonas, Jonas Brodin. So Jonas Brodin plays for Minnesota, I believe, and he's a really good defenseman. He's been sort of one of their top pairing guys the last few years, just a really solid D-man for Minnesota. Minnesota's always been known for having good defense players, so he's going to be on the first pair, along with John Carlson is going to be on the other side. So I find that pairing would be really nice because Carlson is sort of a did he ever win the Norris? I have to check. I swear to God, I thought he did one time. He was at least in the finals for it, because he scored a ton of points one year. But anyways, John Carlson is a offensive defenseman, a veteran player, but still, I think he has a lot left in the tank. So he's going to be flanked or next to Jonas Brodin and John Carlson of the Washington Capitals is going to be line one, or defensive pairing one, I should say. Second pairing, I got Johnson and Johnson. So the way that we made this pairing, I got a guy named Jack Johnson. This is where it gets kind of funny because they all have the same name. Jack Johnson. He's right now in his, this guy has played a lot of NHL. He's 38 years old, currently on Columbus Blue Jackets. So 19 years in the NHL for this dude right here. Jack Johnson is going to be on line or defensive pairing 2, along with Eric Johnson. So Eric Johnson is another veteran NHL defenseman, 17 years in the NHL. He's playing for Philadelphia right now. So the second pair defensemen are 2 old guys. Sorry guys for calling you that, but I mean, it's just, NHL is a young man's game now. So they're 38 and 36 respectively. Johnson and Johnson is going to be line 2 for defense, or defensive pairing 2. Defensive pairing 3, I have Jonathan Merrill. John Marino is going to be rounding out the defensive core. So one thing I noticed when I was making these lines and pairings is the defense for Team John is really strong. So John Marino was a highly touted guy last year. I heard a lot of talk about him playing for New Jersey. So he might even be able to bump up the lineup. But I just thought it would be funny to have 2 Johnsons on defensive pairing 2, Johnson and Johnson. But yeah, as I was saying, guys, I made another video like this yesterday, and it was called Team Connor. And the Connor team had really strong forwards all the way through from line 1 down to line 4. And then they had weak defense. So they had not a lot of super talented defensemen, not a lot of guys that you could really rely on their defensive pairings. And that looked like the weakest part of their game. They had some strong goalies with Connor Hellebuck, Connor Ingram, both capable starting goaltenders, but their defense looked really weak. Here on Team John, I'm liking those 3 pairings of Brodin, Carlson, Johnson and Johnson, and then Merrill and Marino. That looks like a actual strong, formidable group right there as defensemen. And then on goal, I have 3 options for goalie. This is where it gets a little bit tougher for Team John because I think their goaltending would be more weak than Team Connor. So there's John Gibson of the Anaheim Ducks. I think he might be currently injured at this time of this recording, but that's okay. We're going to have him as our starter for now. I don't know what other option we have. We have Jonathan Quick, who I'm not even too sure if he's currently with a team, if he's playing this year. His last season was with New York Rangers, and he performed really well that year with the Rangers. And then I have another guy, again, it's kind of a stretch, but because his name is not actually John, it's Joonas Korpisalo. Joonas. So yeah, that's basically the team, guys. So we had Jonathan Quick, Jonathan Gibson, and Joonas. I'm going to count Joonas as a John, I guess. Korpisalo as our goaltending options. Not the best, but I mean, they're definitely all very serviceable goalies. I mean, at one point, Quick and Gibson were some of the best goalies in the league, but they're kind of reaching the end of their line now. So, yeah, that's the whole team, guys. Let me know in the comments if you think there's anything I could do to switch up or change this team to make it better, or if I made any mistakes, let me know. And I made the Team Connor video yesterday. I'll put the roster up here as well. And then let me know, who do you guys think would win between an all Connor matchup versus all John matchup if they were to actually play a game? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day.